My name is 𝐫𝐚𝐝𝐻StuImami, and I'm the host of The Road to Success for Your Highly Sensitive Child. This podcast is about empowering parents of highly sensitive children to nurture their child's unique personality trait and create a path to success. Our podcast provides guidance, insights, and support to help you unlock your child's full potential, fostering resilience, confidence, and a bright future. If you're new to my podcast, please go back and listen to episodes 1 and 2 because they provide information on high sensitivity that all subsequent episodes will build upon. If you skip these episodes, you won't get as much out of this and all subsequent episodes. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at parentinghsc.com. Today's episode is a continuation of my conversation with Mr. Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad is the amazing and talented producer of this podcast, and he's the founder and producer at My Producer and has a background in radio and TV broadcast industry and its surrounding fields, including music, film, theater, and the various forms of liberal arts. I absolutely love working with Ahmad and highly recommend him if you're interested in starting a podcast. This is the second episode in the Superpower Unleashed series where we debunk the myth that HSP are highly emotional, too sensitive, and too weak to be successful in their careers. I hope you enjoy it. I have it on my agenda to cover the difference between high sensitivity, autism, and ADHD as well.
And it is, yeah. And they're all neurodivergent. And I think that's what we need to start educating people is like there are different personality traits that are in the neurodivergent atmosphere, right? But they're not all disabilities. Because the lady that I was speaking with yesterday, she said that she's on the spectrum.
I see.
And that's why I started talking with her, because here I am, HSPs attract HSPs, right? So I'm like, okay, here it is, right? So I'm sitting there having a conversation with her, and I said, "Are you sure you may be misdiagnosed?
Mm-hmm.
You may be misdiagnosed." And because I don't this whole idea of highly functional autistic is just, I feel like that's a money grab.
Mm.
And the whole idea of a spectrum, I think that's a money grab as well. When I've read, you might want to bring me back on when you do this differentiation show, but I've read like white papers and medical journals when I was trying to see if my son fit the bill. And just real quick, the way that autism came about, it appears that it spawned from the Down syndrome kids. Like they were studying kids in Down syndrome, and then there were some kids that had some traits of kids who had Down syndrome, but they didn't want to label them that. So then they came up with another term called autism.
Got it. Oh, I didn't know.
And that happened around the 70s. And then as it grew, seemed like the Down syndrome started to become smaller and the autism became bigger. So when you really look at the history, again, a highly sensitive person would do something like this, right? This type of research and go,
absolutely.
I'm gonna read a medical document, right? So when I read all of that, that kind of gave me some confidence, Paris, to be an advocate against my son. It's like, this might be a money grab to try to get him into the spectrum.
Yeah.
And call him highly functional when it's like he doesn't have a disability, he just has idiosyncrasies and he thinks differently. And then when I found out about the highly sensitive, then I was like, that makes sense because he's a chip off the old block. So
yeah,
parents really need to do some research.
Yeah, and also it's really easy to find out if your child is highly sensitive. There's a test that has been developed by Elaine Aron, and it's like a
Mhm.
5-minute exercise for you to learn. I do highly recommend that you do it with a professional, because if you don't take the test correctly, it could give you the wrong results.
Mhm.
So because you have to really go back and think about yourself, how you acted as a child, because
Right.
as we develop into an adult, we learn to adapt to our environment. So we might change some things, lessen it or highlight it, or however it's going to transform. So you really have to go and answer those questions as far back into your memory, if you're an adult,
Right.
far back into your memory as possible. And so, and then also, if you don't understand a certain question, then, you need a professional to really explain to you what that question is asking you. So it's better to do it with a professional than to do it by yourself, but it's a fun
Right.
exercise either way. So,
Yeah, they need to just give you a call. They need to book, on
yeah,
your show notes. Just click the link, and then they can take the 5-minute test and then have someone to talk with for 20 minutes or so, kind of go over the test. And then hopefully, you know, they can schedule some sessions because, fortunately, I'm producing your show. I was able to get some insights,
yeah,
but it would be really helpful to have someone like yourself to walk with, several sessions, especially if you're already an adult and you're realizing it. And I mean, you're probably going to need you in your corner for a while, to be honest,
yeah,
because it's not a 2, 3, 4 session experience. This
not
is
at all.
ongoing, especially if you're already an adult and you find out that you're highly sensitive, then you're going to need multiple sessions,
Yeah.
because we form beliefs around what we consider negative,
Yes.
and you have to unravel those unbeliefs. Fortunately for me, when I found out that I was highly sensitive, I had already um, I was already healed from having poor expectations
Hmm.
with people,
Hmm.
so I had really unhealthy expectations. So I was already healed from that. So it made it easier for me to go back into my childhood and understand why I had these unhealthy expectations, because I didn't know why I had them until me and you met.
Yeah.
Then I was like, that's why I had it, because I'm sensitive to everything.
Yeah.
And I really didn't need, like after taking that test and you told me, like, because even like married to my wife, right? You and I would talk. She would always say, "You're too sensitive. You're too sensitive. You're too sensitive." Like, just throughout our marriage, I would hear that all the time.
Yeah.
So that was just after taking that test with you, and then you said it. You was like, "Yeah, Ahmad, you are off the charts."
Yes. I think you
Like you.
just missed one question out of all of the questions. Like, and that's the way it was for me as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My score was so high.
Yeah. It is like so interesting, but I'm so much more free, and I just want the parents to know that it's really a beautiful experience for your child, because now you'll be able to create that environment for your child to blossom the way that they are, and it's really going to help you create a better environment for your house, and you'll become a better person because your child really just wants just everything to be in excellence, you know. And just the things you just want to make sure that you're conscious of is just, your words matter, your consistency matters. That stable
Creativity,
home.
stable
Yeah,
home.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna want to just make sure. And I know it's probably gonna be tough because the parents gonna have to feel like that they're gonna have to be perfect. But if you talk to your child, and if you like what I do with my son, because now I know he's highly sensitive, it's like now I can say, daddy makes mistakes, mommy makes mistakes. We apologize. I know a lot of parents don't like apologize to their kid, but guess what? To a highly sensitive kid, that is you have to do that, period.
Yeah, you have to,
Like
because
you
you have to
you
break
have
it.
to apologize.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is not a like, oh man, he'll get over it. Because most kids probably will get over it. They're probably not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But your highly sensitive child, they're thinking about it for hours
Days.
after the experience. Days, yes.
Days, for sure.
Until
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like I'm still, I'm always thinking about like, what did I say? And this is bothering someone. It's bothering me.
Yeah.
So they're gonna mull over that. So you have to apologize. You have to be transparent. You have to be authentic because they'll create perfection around that. They'll create perfection around imperfection.
Yeah.
Is whatever environment you create for the highly sensitive child is what they're going to create the expectations to be. And then when you fail in those expectations, that's when you have to kind of go back and like explain and talk to them because it's going to be times 10. Like what you said, Paris, so you moved a lot. I grew up as a military family. So every 3 years it was torture for me.
Wow.
Every 3 years when we moved, it was torture
Wow.
because I had to break away from those relationships.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
then I had to also prepare for bullying and verbal abuse
Yeah.
from new people. It was always torture when we moved from one place to another.
Yeah.
I anticipated it. So you just have to be ready to nurture your child through changes and things of that nature because one kid, it's just like it's going to roll off their back. 80% of the kids, that's just going to roll off their back. They'll adapt. They're resilient. But the other 20% of the kids that are highly sensitive, it's going to take a little bit while for them to adapt because they're on 10
Because
and they have to settle down.
they feel deeply.
Yes.
I still think you use the word resilient, and I love it because I truly believe that highly sensitive people are resilient,
Mm-hmm.
but they feel deeply because their emotions are so deep. Um, they get hurt deeply.
That's it.
So that's why it's important for you to go back and apologize. That's why it's important for you to explain, not just
Mm-hmm.
apologize, but explain why you did what you did, because that's the only way that that highly sensitive person can move forward without running the scenario in their head over and over and over again.
Right.
They are doing that because they're trying to understand what their role was in this situation. What did I do to cause mommy and daddy to behave like X, Y, and Z?
Right.
So they
Right.
are very responsible people to a fault. Like I am. Like I even at work, I take responsibility for things that are not even mine. Like I'm doing a certain role in a project, but all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking this person's role and that person's role because for whatever reason, they're not doing it. So I'm like filling the gaps.
Right.
And I have to step back and go, that's not my responsibility. Do not do that. But a highly sensitive child is not there yet. They don't know how to separate themselves like that. So
Right.
when you hurt their feelings, they are going to analyze it, depth of processing, because they feel that hurt so deeply, and because they want to change that, they want to make sure it doesn't happen again. So what can they do? They can only control themselves, right? So they're going to look
Right.
at what they did in this situation, and
Correct.
um and until you tell them otherwise, they're going to keep on looking for that.
Keep
Like,
on
what did
looking.
I do? What did
Keep
I
going in
do?
deep. Keep going in deep.
Yeah,
Looking within. Looking
exactly.
within. Another thing is what I do with my son is to help him deal with tough situations like that. Is I'll just ask him questions. Hey, what do you think? How do you feel?
Yeah.
And let him search for an answer for
Yes.
because he's an intellectual.
Yeah.
And I would in every HSP I've ever met, or like deeply, intellectual, like they're into their feelings and they're digging in deep. So I'm teaching him to start doing that now. I've been doing that for years, actually. I'll ask him questions and it gets to a point, Paris, he'll say, "Oh, Daddy, I don't want to ask any more questions. It's too hard. These questions
Yeah,
are too hard."
I know, but it's really amazing that you're doing that. I actually give
Yeah.
my clients some processes for like a step-by-step
Mm,
process for teaching their child how to
yeah.
feel their emotions and process their emotions. So
Hmm.
actually, this makes me think I should send you that because maybe it will be
Okay.
helpful to it lists and the types of like a list of emotions and it tells you like
Okay.
how to go through that. It sounds like
Yeah, I think
a
that'd
bit
be
blurry,
great.
but it would be a nice visual for
Like an emotion wheel or something. Yeah, for him to look at. Okay. Yeah. I think that'd be great. And I mean, it's just so awesome to see him blossom. Um, where he is, just to kind of let these parents know, like my son in class, because he's secure and he's confident. 'Cause that was one of the biggest things since he was a child when people were saying that he has some type of disability or whatever. I always wanted to make sure that I tell him I love him like many times a day. He has the most loving environment that we can provide. If
amazing.
you ask him what are your nicknames, he says I have a lot of nicknames, and I say, okay, what are your nicknames? He'll say amazing, phenomenal,
Oh,
wonderful.
no,
Because
I love it.
he's saying all the stuff that I tell him every
Yeah.
single day. He hears nothing but wonderful affirmations. So now that he's 10, he is the kid in class that is he's being a peacemaker naturally because that's just how he sees the world, right?
Yes.
He can understand everyone's pain and beauty, but he's also telling everyone they're wonderful and they're amazing. And he's also giving people suggestions on how to be better in life.
Mhm.
And he'll give you the suggestion, and if you take it, he's great, and if not, he's like, that's your choice, and he has peace with that. So yeah, your highly sensitive child can make an impact
Absolutely.
even at a young age with his peers. He is not bullied at all. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, there are other kids that get bullied, but my son, he is the one that says, "Hey, we're better than this."
Oh, I
And
love
people do not bully him
that.
at all in his school. God's grace. So he's on a trajectory so much different than mine.
Because of you,
Where
because of
I
you,
mean,
because it's
that's good.
important how the child is raised and nurtured and parent.
Yeah,
And if you bring about confidence to your child, that child is going to thrive.
yeah,
You give them what they need. It's really important for highly sensitive children for the parents to be attuned to what they need and
yeah.
provide that child. They don't need a whole lot. It's not like you have to, all of a sudden your life is going to become so challenging because you have a highly sensitive child.
Right,
Actually, not that challenging. They're very easy to please, really, to love and to nurture. It's just
right,
you have to know how. It's
right.
it's not hard. It's
I,
just
I
a
I
different
just think
way of
that's just part of my superpower because I am highly sensitive. So it was the other piece of the puzzle was knowing that that's legit, and that gave me so much peace for my son. And I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna probably be more challenging for someone who is not an HSP. That's why they need to book a call with you, Paris, too. But because I am HSP, I'm just treating him the way that I would be wanted to be treated. And it's just so cool because like my wife, she now receives me better. Because now she can think, she's like, okay, now I know why my husband knows when I'm not in a good mood and I don't have to speak it. I don't have to
yeah.
talk. He knows I'm not in a good mood because I know her body language. She can and I'm not talking about like slumped over shoulder body
Yeah,
language. I
yeah,
mean, like if she's sitting on the couch reading a book, I can look at how she's sitting, like how her ankles are crossed. Lets me know.
yeah.
Like
Subtle
it's the
changes. Subtle-
small little subtleties, yeah. And I know like she's not in a good mood. Don't bother her. Whatever. Like it's little tiny things. If we're in the car driving, I know when she's feeling love
Yeah.
by the way she's sitting in the car. Like how she slouches in the car lets me know, okay, I'm doing a good job. You
Oh,
know, I don't have to ask her,
that's awesome. I love
you
that.
know? Yeah, you
I
know.
have to
So
tell you though, so I want to say kudos to you. It's not
yeah,
because you're highly sensitive that you're an amazing parent. My parents are both highly sensitive, both of them. My
okay.
entire family is highly sensitive. I have two brothers,
Wow.
highly sensitive, myself, my parents. And I learned recently that a lot of people in my dad's side are highly sensitive because they're listening to my podcast and they're reaching out to me saying, "Oh my God, I didn't know I'm a highly sensitive
Yeah.
person." I recently
Wow.
saw my aunt and she came from Iran and we were talking and I realized that she's highly sensitive. So I went through the four components of being a highly sensitive person and she's like, "Yep, that's me. Yep, that's me." And so, yeah, she realized that she's highly sensitive as well. So my parents were not good parents. They did not know how to parent me. They did not know
Hmm.
to be in tune with me. They attuned to me. Um,
Hmm.
and I know sometimes I don't speak my,
No, no, like I said,
but
you
I
know,
think my
you're gonna
listeners
have me.
understand what I'm trying to say,
No, we
like
do.
my English. But
You're fine.
but I I want to say that even if you're a highly sensitive parent, you might need help because unfortunately, there are some people, even if they're highly sensitive, they just don't know. Like I asked my mom, why did you treat me like this when I was
Hmm.
little?
Hmm.
I love my mom. I have an amazing relationship both with my mom and with my dad.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I was really not treated well as a child. And I asked them, why did you do this? They're clueless. They don't know.
Yeah.
And they tell me, my mom does, at least not my dad, but my mom tells me, I wish there was somebody like you. I wish there was a class that I could have gone to. I wish there was a book that I could have read so that I could be a better parent to you, but I just didn't know any better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, I
Wow.
know that we're really over time, which is means that we're going to
Yeah, no, that means
go
we're
into
gonna have a
two.
three-part series.
Yeah, but I have two more questions if you're okay
Okay.
with them. Can
No, no, go for it. Yeah,
okay.
you're fine.
So what the one question I have is many people view sensitivity as a weakness. How do you
Mhm.
counter this stereotype in your industry?
Right. So what I've learned is that it's a misunderstanding of the terminology of of sensitivity. So, you know, most people think sensitivity is like you're soft, right? Oh, you're sensitive, you're soft, you're not strong, you're not tough.
Mhm.
But in my home and at work, there are moments where I have some alpha that come out of me, right? So I tell I say I'm a beta alpha or alpha beta male. That's what I tell everyone. Like it just depends on the circumstance where you know I'll come out if I need to be
Yeah.
a little bit more vocal. So there is a lion that lives within me, and and I've had to do that in business and in my personal life. It's and especially now that I'm older, I've been able to do it. But yeah, but when it's time for me to kind of kick in and make something happen, I need to be aggressive. Then yeah, then I'll be aggressive when I need
Yeah.
to.
Absolutely. I'm like that
So
too,
yeah.
actually, now that you're saying it, and I'm hearing these words, it resonates with me because I'm like that too, where
Hmm.
people don't expect me to be an alpha, but I really can.
Right.
When I need to be alpha, I am. But
Right.
I'm also, I'm very much a feminine person. So
Okay. Yeah.
my feminine energy is what I like to use most of the time. But if I
Right.
need to tap into my masculine energy and be, I
Right.
definitely know how to do that. And I will do.
Right.
So that's why a lot of times I tell people, don't judge the book by its cover, because
Correct.
I may come across as being this really soft, kind, good-natured person, but I can be tough if I need to be. I
Correct.
can put you
Correct.
in your place like that if I
Come
need
on
to.
now. Yes, exactly. And see, and I
Don't
think
mess with me because you will bring out the fire.
right, right. And I think because whenever you see an HSP act in that way, it's usually from my experience, and I'm learning from others, it's usually because we're protecting something.
Yes,
We're not initiating the aggression or the
absolutely.
attack. It's a cause and effect. It's an effect to something that's trying to break down our boundaries,
Yes,
or we're trying to protect something. We see
yes,
someone's being hurt, you
yes.
know, you're just maybe being disrespectful. It's always something, because like even in my home, whenever I like raise my voice in the house, it's always, it's 100% because of an expectation not met, or someone just completely disrespected, something in the house, something like that,
Protection
and
is
then
actually the a
that's
perfect
it.
word to use. You're
Right.
protecting something, whether it's a boundary,
Correct.
whether it's being disrespected, or whatever it is, you are
Right.
protecting something that is
It's
rightfully yours or someone else's.
correct. Or someone else's, but it's not like a part of the 80% where if they're aggressive because they're trying to achieve something.
Yeah.
So in
Self,
HSP, I'm realizing we're not going to be aggressive to achieve. We're being aggressive because something triggered us to be aggressive. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and I'm still learning about that with others, but I know that's how it is with me, and I know that's how that is with you, and I notice that is the same with my son and others that I know that are HSP. They don't look for controversy.
yeah. Yeah.
They don't look for it.
Yeah,
So
because I think we're peacemakers at heart.
we're more peacemakers. If we're going to
That
create
way.
controversy, yeah, we're going to try to, because creating peace creates controversy in the midst of it,
Yeah.
because you have to protect somebody. And in the midst of protecting somebody, someone else gets hurt.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I know you're hurt, but how can we help you in this? You see what I'm saying? We'll try to find a way. And then on top of that, even if we like, I know whenever I raise my voice and I know that I'm doing that, I feel bad anyway
Yeah.
after that, because I violated who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and HSP is just such a complicated personality trait, because people think like, oh man, you're yelling at somebody and you're hurting them, and then you say like, yeah, but it hurts me too. People in the 80% won't understand that.
Mhm.
They'll call that hypocritical or whatever. And it's like, no, I had to defend that person, but I feel bad that I had to defend that
Yeah,
person in that way.
exactly.
You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a very complicated emotion to explain,
Yes.
but it's not hypocrisy, because we're like, man, I just did the very thing that I don't want done to this person. You know what I'm saying? And we will. It's hypocrisy, but we acknowledge it. We don't justify it. How about that?
Yes.
Where others will be hypocritical and don't realize it's hypocritical and justify that action
Yes.
of,
Absolutely.
of like raising, of being aggressive and yelling at someone, and won't even think two things about it. Won't even feel bad about it.
Yeah.
You're like,
Absolutely.
they deserved it. You'd be like, yeah, they may have deserved it, but I still feel bad that I had to do
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. I feel the same way. Yes. That's
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's what's unique about us too, which is part of the beauty,
mm,
of what we do in our industry, what we work, and how we try to create that peace, and we'll apologize. And
yeah.
So, all right, what's your other question? I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. So is there a final message you'd like to share with our listeners
Mm.
about the beauty and strength of a highly sensitive person?
Yeah, I just think parents, um, like if you realize that your child is highly sensitive and they're already older, and you feel like there's regret, here's the beauty of your highly sensitive child as they get older. They're always being introspective for themselves, and they're being introspective for you too.
Yes, true.
So they will see the purpose even in the mistakes. Eventually they will,
Yeah,
because they're always digging in deep. They're
yeah,
always thinking. I mean, even your parents will get to a point like, oh, you know what? I see that now, because highly sensitive people, we're always thinking in.
mhm,
And so I actually had to do this to my parents, where I actually said, wow, you know what? I understand why you did what you did,
mhm.
you know, and you did the best that you could do,
Absolutely.
and you're able to give grace. I think highly sensitive people can eventually give grace.
Absolutely.
And I think like that is something that's already within us, because we're seeing where our own faults are and how we can get better. And we can, I'm not gonna say easily, but I would say easier than others, have the ability to see and give grace to others after we kind of see it within ourselves.
Absolutely.
Um, so I would just say, like, if you feel like you messed up with the child or anything like that, your highly sensitive child is going to give you more grace probably than you think that you deserve, maybe. But that child is going to be able to say, like, hey, I see you,
Yeah.
and so that's one thing I want to tell the parents. If you already have a child that's already older, it's just your child is going to forgive you because
Yeah,
they see it.
especially if you go back and apologize. If you go back,
Yeah,
if you tell them, I'm really sorry, like my parents did to me, at the age of 50 something, they came to
yeah,
me and said, just recently, and said, we are really sorry. We didn't
there it
know that
is.
we were being a bad parent to you. We did our
See,
best. And I'm sorry that, you were traumatized by the things that
yep,
you experienced as a child.
see, that's
And they
good.
didn't even they didn't even know that they had traumatized me. That's the,
Right.
so making, like, going back, even now, that was so profound for me and so healing for me to
Yes.
hear them apologize to me,
Yep.
and because highly sensitive people have deep emotions and they have empathy, those two combined bring about compassion. And so
Right.
we are able to be compassionate about our parents. Like, people ask me all the time, in my episode, I don't really give details of my childhood, but the people that
Right.
have seen me, like my family members who have aunts and uncles who've seen my childhood, often ask me, like, how can you still be so close to your parents? How is it
Mm-hmm.
possible that you could
Right.
still love them? I would not, I would just,
Oh
be
yeah.
patient,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
not see my family anymore. And I'm like, no, I love them. I love them.
Right.
I accept them for who they are. And I know
Yeah.
they did the best that they could in that moment. And, I'm able to have compassion for them.
Right. And that's it. And I think that's the part of, if you're parenting a highly sensitive child, um, you have that coming for you if you
Yeah.
think that you're making mistakes or whatever. So you can change today and start to understand your child. And once you start doing that, your child, it's like forgiveness and grace just rolls off of them
Yes, exactly.
very easily.
Yes.
Very easily. They do not hold those grudges.
Yes.
Highly
Very.
sensitive kids don't hold grudges. Like, I mean, it's yeah, it's weird. I think it's a weird thing. I remember when I was a kid, real quick, every time I got punished as a kid, I would get punished. Um, I have like 2 minutes of sadness, and then after that, I'm joyful again,
Wow.
you know? And I remember my parents would say, like, how is it that I put you on discipline, but you over here as if you're not on discipline, you're just in joy, you
Mhm.
know? And I couldn't explain that as a kid, but my son's the same way.
Yeah.
He is the same exact way. I had to take his cell phone away from him last night because he didn't go to bed on time, you know? But he woke up the next day singing,
Oh,
getting ready for school like it was nothing.
awesome. I
Didn't
love
even ask for it's just amazing, It's just amazing,
that. True.
And yeah, it's beautiful
Yes, it is.
because forgiveness and grace rolls off a highly sensitive child because
I mean, those two um, are so important in our life,
right.
to be able to forgive people. Because if we can't forgive someone, we're really poisoning our own bodies. Um,
Yeah,
and having grace is important because everyone on this planet is trying to do their best. And we
right.
don't know what trauma they have encountered. We don't know what is going on in their daily lives. So we don't, it's important to be able to give people grace and
Yeah,
not see it as, oh my God, why are they acting like this? Or, oh my God,
right,
harsh, and
right.
when somebody mistreats me, I always give them grace because I figured, I don't know what's happening to them in their life, and
Correct.
I have my boundaries and I honor my boundaries. I'm not saying I let people walk all over me, but I do, I don't judge very quickly. I don't
Right.
put them down really quickly or make them into this evil person. If
Hmm.
they do that over and over and over again, okay, then I go, okay, this person is toxic. I don't want to have them in my life, and I
Right.
end the relationship. But I do give grace, probably more than I should, but that's just
I mean, yeah, that's
how
to a
we're going.
fault, right? To a
I want to
fault.
thank you so much, Ahmad.
Yes. No,
This
thank
has been
you.
such an inspiring story to hear, and thank you for the insights that you shared, being not just a highly sensitive person, but parenting a highly sensitive child. Um,
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time and for your insights and for inspiring our listeners as well.
Yes.
Story.
Absolutely.
And so, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you that you have the power to create a bright and successful future for your highly sensitive child. Embrace their uniqueness, nurture their strengths, and provide them with the love and support they need. Together, we can pave a path to success that aligns with their sensitivity. Thank you for joining us today. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. We'll be here with more insights and inspiration in our next episode. Until then, keep believing in your child's potential because they truly are extraordinary. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and stay committed to setting your child up for success in life. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at parentinghsc.com.